Hello indie game fans! We have quite an interesting mix of indie games across genres in this edition of the new trailers, so enjoy this variety pack of awesome games to look forward to, and be sure to watch in full since there are more keys to be given away. Let's begin with the adorable Blooming Business Casino, a tycoon game where you're running your own casino in the desert, only starring absolutely adorable anthropomorphic animals. The developers released a gameplay trailer that does show off the decoration and stations that you can build, the staff management portion, monitoring your profit and loss, and even taking out the troublemakers, looking to be an excellent entry for tycoon game fans.
Are you on, little fella?
We are building you to be the pillar of a digital era. As such, you have to understand us, people.
One of the in-development games with an interesting art style is NeuroNet Mendax Proxy, a title where you play as an experimental AI having the enormous task of having to manage the lives of the citizens in this cyberpunk city. While the trailer does not show much in terms of gameplay, looking more like a visual novel title, it is actually a Reigns-style decision-making game where you need to balance capital, reputation, order, and power in order to keep everything smooth and humming along, looking like a neat take on the genre.
You'd be putting an artificial intelligence in charge of how we live our lives?
You're like a robot, so you don't know what it feels like to be starving all the time.
I'm inbound. I need you to map out the fastest route for me.
You killed him.
Delete all records of this executive order. This never happened.
I have memories that aren't mine.
Rumors of a machine cult are spreading, claiming you to be some kind of messiah.
What the hell are you doing? The city will be in complete anarchy at this rate.
I'm pulling the plug.
No!
When push comes to shove, when your hand is being forced, what kind of choices are you going to make?
I just did a video on upcoming pixel art turn-based RPGs, which you can watch in the video linked above, so rather than wait for another list of these games, I thought that I'll show off the last Relic, Curse of the Lostaways first. It's a good looking title in the space, having an earthbound looking combat interface, overworld exploration and adding crafting and simulation elements with things like social bonds. Our main character is also able to switch between different outfits, which grants her different environmental exploration abilities, adding just a little bit more depth in the exploration. It's currently on Kickstarter with 70% funding as of recording, with plenty of time to go, so do check out the campaign and support if interested.
Earth, 1985. Fusion technology and self-learning computers shape the cities of the future. But it was not to last. Destructive machine gods have risen, and their machine legion was unleashed on humanity. We have no more time. Our only hope, a forgotten prototype. Android, wake up.
The action roguelite Synthetik 2 was supposed to launch a couple of weeks ago but got delayed to November since the developers needed more time to add more content and polish out the game, but in the meantime, they released a story trailer and some new gameplay footage. As can be shown, you play as a recently reawakened android fighting for the human resistance against a legion of machines, with an absolute arsenal of firearms at your disposal in your mission to do so. From the trailer, the movement appears to be a lot smoother as compared to the cardinal directions of the original, retaining the headshot system and adding things like weapon attachments and even leveling up of weapons, making it something I'm curious about even though the original did not click with me.
You dare challenge your gods, android?
Developer Chibik Studio has made a number of fantastic, cozy farming sim titles like D-Land and Summer in Mara, with their next project being Ankora Lostaways, one that has a similar vibe but is set on an alien planet, and is a crafting survival title worth a look. Now I'll be honest, I was a little taken aback with the visuals of the game coming off the wonderfully animated intro, where the actual game does look to be a little uninspired, so perhaps it might need a little bit more flair. You play as a junior space ranger stranded on an unknown planet after a crash landing, having to find a way to survive by gathering resources, crafting tools and building shelter, all while exploring the planet. The protagonist does appear in their other games, where this title serves as a prequel to those, but a cozy looking entry in the space nonetheless. A fascinating third-person adventure platformer is Skabma Snowfall, where you play as a young person herding reindeer whose ordinary day turns into an epic adventure. The main tool that you wield is an ancient shaman drum, having to harness it to restore the rhythm of nature as you summon various animal spirits to help you on your quest. This is telling the tale of the Sami people, an indigenous people who live in what is now modern-day Norway, Sweden and Finland, which supposedly is a language that you're hearing in the voice acting, which is always neat. Little bit of a Brother Bear vibe with the northern lights and spirits and such, where it does look pretty well made and is of interest. I talked about Kokopa's Atlas when covering the Wholesome Direct in June, where this exploration live sim title is currently on Kickstarter and is already fully funded. It's another crash land on an uncharted planet and find a way to survive type of story, where the design of the little bird companion is just the cutest. It does look to have decent farming and crafting elements, as well as a hint of combat, so if you love games like Stardew Valley, check out the campaign page for backer rewards.
Fate brought us here, stranded on this unknown continent.
Yes, I just mentioned Dice Legacy in an edition of Indie Gaming This Week 2 weeks ago, and while it currently sits at mixed reviews on Steam, I do personally think that it's pretty unique and worth a look. This launch trailer does tease something a little darker, and if you're on the fence, the developer has generously provided some keys, so go grab them via the link in the description below.
We survived harsh winters and resisted the onslaught of a mysterious population. We conducted experiments and we made sacrifices. In an attempt to escape our fate, fate. Oh, cruel fate.
I gotta thank Twitter for this entry since Clash Artifacts of Chaos is the next title from Ace team, presumably after the very weird The Eternal Cylinder, where I believe this game is the next installment in the Xeno Clash franchise. While the earlier games were first-person melee combat focused, this has a behind-the-back camera, and in addition to the melee combat, has the rules of engagement per battle, determined by a game of dice using artifacts of power, where you need to find as many of these in your venture across the open world. The world of Xenozoic is one of the weirdest and most interesting in all of games, in line with developer Ace team, with a variety of mutant creatures, some animalistic, others I don't know where the inspiration came from, which just makes this a fascinating entry. Great look as well, which I think can be described as cel-shaded, making it something of interest.
Time and chance happen to us all. But the battle is to the strong.
The developer of Instruments of Destruction did reach out to me, and I was instantly on board with this physics sandbox sim, looking to combine the best parts of Besiege and Teardown. In it, you're building custom engines of destruction, Besiege style, and simply letting them loose on poor, helpless buildings. But there are supposed to be objectives and such as well. There appears to be quite a number of options in terms of parts, contributing to unique mechanical monsters that you can build, so if you love any of those games mentioned earlier, be sure to give this a wishlist, taking the #1 spot. For more of the best indie games, click through to these playlists and select a topic of interest.